Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dysfunctional Fitness Podcast. You're joined today by myself, Matthew Hosking, and my co-host, Ben Bodycom, and we're about to break down 23.1. Well, Benjamin, it is the season, it's up and running. 23.1 is actually 14.4, it's a repeat. A little chunky AMRAP, 40 minutes long, 60 cal row, 50 toes to bar, 40 wall balls and 30 cleans, 135 for the guys, 95 pounds for the ladies, into 20 ring muscle ups. I don't know about you, I did not see it coming. My mind is actually blown. I'm perplexed, I'm dumbfounded, I'm shooketh.
I think this is definitely bye-bye Castro, hello Bosman. This is Adrian Bosman putting his stamp on the fact that he is programming the Open and putting ring muscle ups in the first week. I think that he can kind of get away with it, given the fact that there is an awful lot of work to get through before you get to those ring muscle ups. But it is a definite departure from what we've previously seen, where the first week is a couplet or a triplet that's incredibly accessible for the majority of the population to try and encourage open sign-ups. I think this is, if you look at CrossFit as a whole and you see what they've always tried to do, which is really try and maximize the cash cow that the Open is, I think this is a really big deviation from that. And so, if I'm honest, this is really exciting for what the next couple of weeks have planned now that we've seen this. But obviously we just need to focus on this week and get through this one first. if we can get through, well, if I can get through one round of this, I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back on those toaster bar.
Oh, if I got back on the toaster bar, sign me up. Sponsorships everywhere, left, right, and centre. Yeah, I'm actually so surprised at this workout. Did not plan to see muscle ups. I don't even think we would maybe even see muscle ups in the whole Open. We were thinking they haven't come up the last 2 years, and here they are. In the first workout, I feel bad. Back at TTZ in Wellington City, great CrossFit gym run by Alex and Matt Clemson. We have absolutely sold the members a dream. We were like, sign up. The first one's really easy now. The last 2 years has been super simple. Anyone can do it. Trust me, it won't be that bad. And then bang, you've got 50 toes to bar in a row. And then we're finishing with 20 ring muscle ups. Yeah, that's tough to see in the first week. I mean, it's a great workout. Like the actual workout itself, I think is really good. But for a first week Open workout based off what we thought the way things were trending, yeah, very, very surprising.
But I think what it does indicate to me is that we're seeing this shift of, as CrossFit tries to become more inclusive, as it tries to steer away from the sport. We've always said that you should have an elite division within the Open that sort of separates things out. You've now got the scaled tier, and then you've got foundations below that. So you have options for people to take part in. So I think that's something that potentially will start to be leveraged a lot more with CrossFit going forward as well, which I think is, you know, in terms of making it accessible, they are still making it accessible. There are options. You just don't have RX next to your score. And so changing the way they approach that, I think, is a really interesting approach for how they're doing things going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Right, we'll get into it. So looking back when this workout first appeared, we'll just go off the top scores because that's pretty much the easiest data we have. Sam Briggs for the ladies won worldwide with 256 reps, which is 56 cows back on that rower into the second round. And then we had Richard Froning win on the men's side with a score of 277, which was 60 cows plus 17 toes to bar on that back inside. If we look at some of the data as well from that year, just to give some people an idea of where you'd rank based on your fitness level. If you had got to the muscle ups for the men, you'd have been about the 75th percentile back in 2014 as a CrossFitter. And if you got to the muscle ups as a woman, you would have been in the 90th percentile. Now, if you'd managed to get one muscle up for the men, you have jumped all the way up to the 80th percentile. And for the ladies, you have jumped up to the 95th percentile, just getting one rep. I think it shows how far we've come, because now I believe those percentiles would drop quite a bit. I think if you're getting a muscle up, you're probably dropping down to probably the 60th percentile. So that's quite a big drop on the men's side. And on the ladies, from 95th, probably dropping to about 80th, which again, quite a big drop. But that just shows how far the sport's come. As I was saying, like when Laura and Gabby were doing it, it was crazy to think that they were possibly going to get close to the top scores of the guys. And to put that into context, the ladies still have to row 60 cows, which I know they do less weight, but 60 cows for ladies, the same as the men, is a lot harder, plus 20 ring muscle ups also. So for them to get for them to get basically top men's scores from 2014 just shows how ridiculously far we've come as a sport. Right. We'll get into just some stats and some strategy pacing ideas for the workout. So for the first bit, we look at the amateur heat. I'll just call them the amateur heat of, I believe it was Carlos Del Arco, Luis Fernandez, Antonio Sanchez, and Camila Granizzo. In that heat, the top score was 205 reps by Mr. Carlos Del Arco, which I believe was 5 cows on the rower back into that second round. Very good score, very impressive. Seemed to pace it fairly well, debatable. But yes, you go Ben.
I think what you saw is they very much were caught up in the buzz of doing it in the Caja Magica, surrounded by a huge number of fans. Like they went out hard.
The Spanish Fortress.
Yeah. It was. I think they probably would have broken it up a little bit differently. You saw how much time they ended up spending on the ring muscle ups. I think they do you have the time for when they got to the ring muscle ups?
So they started the muscle ups at 10:15, and then Carlos finished the muscle ups at 13:40. So what's that? 3 minutes and basically just under 3 minutes and 30 seconds. 25. To finish the muscle ups, which is 20 muscle ups. So not the fastest pace in the world, but you got to remember you're going to be quite fatigued once you get to that point. So still not an awful pace, but maybe if you strategize it a bit smarter from the start, pace it a touch more. Maybe you've got a bit left in the tank to hold either slightly bigger sets or just shorter rest breaks between your sets, and maybe get back onto rower a bit earlier and get another, 5 to 10 cows, which, as you know, in the open, that does make a difference. Literally every calorie will matter. Massively.
I think he opened up with like a set of 8 on the ring muscle ups.
Did he?
And he looked at a guy in the crowd, and the guy in the crowd went, 10. For the 10. I think he ended up going down to singles at the end. So
that's gonna be judging Matt tomorrow back at TTZ. I'd be like 2, just 2, and he's gonna go for a big set of 3, and he's gonna crumble. Bless his heart.
I wouldn't entertain going more than like a set of 3 here. Like depending on your capacity and stuff, but particularly coming off the wall balls, like you want to just sort of like get your heart rate down a little bit. Make sure your breathing's back under control. So just get up, do a small first set, and then take it from there. I don't know if you'd approach that any differently.
Well, the way, again, it's going to be tough to know exactly how I'm going to feel when you get to those muscle ups. I've never done this workout before. But even I wouldn't be surprised if I end up doing 3s or 4s on those first, from the start, really. It just depends how you're feeling coming off those cleans. Again, it depends on the type of athlete. Some people can handle bigger sets and then take a bit of a longer rest break, or some people would be better off doing smaller chunks, literally 2s, and then taking shorter rest breaks. And you only really know that if you do a lot of muscle ups in your training.
So again, that's forgetting that there are 30 cleans in this. I keep just sort of glossing over it mentally. And it's like, that's a big old time suck. And it is. Again, it's like, it's a little bit of a trap as well.
Yeah, in that amateur heat, the cleans took the fastest person almost 3 minutes, which is quite slow. That's basically 10 reps a minute. Okay, it was just a bit under that, but still 11 to 12 reps a minute. That's not fast pace. And you can, when you talk about how the pacing strategy, you can see how the pace slowed off. So from the start, a 240 to finish at 60 cals. So it's about 23 cals per minute pace on your rower. So if you imagine that, if you ever done rowing intervals, that's the pace this gentleman was holding to start off the workout. And then from there, he took basically 2 minutes to do his 50 toes a bar, which is still a good clip. That's 25 a minute. That's very impressive. But then by the end, when he finished and his total reps divided by the time, he only averaged 14.6 reps a minute. So you can see the pace he was holding in those first 5 minutes. He was averaging basically 24 a minute, and he ended up going 10 reps slower per minute pace by the end. So it shows a drop off, but that is mainly also because of the muscle ups. Like muscle ups are a slow movement in general, plus the rest time is going to be adding up loads between your sets. But still, it shows you don't have to go out super hot from the start because you're going to get a massive drop off anyway. Saying that, if you're not going to get through your muscle ups, there is a tie-break score, and that is how fast it takes to get to your muscle ups. So for some of you who want to do it RX and aren't bothered about even getting your muscle ups, then yeah, feel free, go hard from the start, hang on. Basically for you, your workout finishes when those cleans finish. So go touch and go, try go 8s if you can, 10s, leave it all out there and then just sit around at the rings for 4 minutes. If you care about
somebody go, I'd love to watch somebody go unbroken on those 30. I think
on the cleans,
on the cleans, yeah.
Should I attempt it tomorrow? See what happens.
I think both of our strength is our grip, so we definitely could do that with
You talk about that, and then Chase Ingram kept banging on about this workout just hits your grip. That's all it is. Grip management, grip fatigue. It's like, can you not?
Can you not remind me that this is all we're going to be thinking for the next 4 days? But I think I don't know if you've watched the original open announcement where they did this.
It was of Josh Bridges and Scott Panchett, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
so I have watched it. CrossFit were uploading all of the old ones over the last few weeks, so I have watched it briefly about, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's watching them do that. Like, I think Scott comes out like a 1600 cal row pace, and it's like, what on earth? And then they end up doing singles on the muscle ups because they're both just going absolutely hammer and tongs, like just absolutely sending it. And I think depending on where your strengths are, you should be able to, you can push particular movements with this. So if you're really strong on toaster bar, yes, you can push the toaster bar. But if you're really strong on the row and you know that, holding a hard pace on that rower isn't going to affect you that much, then cool, do that. But just make sure you have a plan going into this. Like, make sure you know where you're going to take your breaks. You know how you're going to split it up. You're not doing too big a sets of anything. I personally, I love descending rep schemes. I find it significantly easier. So on the toaster bar, I'd probably do I think the wall balls is probably a little bit of an easier comparison, where I'd probably do like a 12, 10, 10, 8 or something like that. 4 separate sets. I'm dropping it. I'm taking a breath. I'm not building up too much time and tension. And looking after myself, because I tend to blow up a lot in those types of movements, and blood gets stuck in particular places and isn't very good at clearing out. So that's what I need to focus on in this, is just keeping my set short, but also keeping control of my rest breaks. Otherwise, you just end up sitting there with a 12 or 14 reps per minute average, as Matthew was saying.
Yeah, but that's not a bad score by the end of the workout, because that guy's not unfit and he did pretty well, and that just shows that the drop off, basically each movement gets slower as you go along through the workout. For that gentleman in particular, his main actual drop off was on those cleans, taking almost 3 minutes to do 30 cleans, so that's almost basically 10 reps a minute. That was his lowest point of his rate. So yeah, if you can avoid
That's a rep every 6 seconds when you compare that to his row where he did 60 and 240?
Yeah.
230? Which is whatever it is. I can't do
it was basically just over double. He was over double on his row pace compared to his cleans, which shows, again, you can pace it a bit from the start as long as you maintain. It's basically staying, in a groove or in a good rhythm next to your bar. Classic, drop the bar, keep your feet under the bar if you can, hands on quickly, keep cycling it through. Some people could get away with doing 2s or 3s. Obviously, touch and go is going to be quite taxing your grip, so that won't work for everyone.
Calm it down.
But yeah. And then for those who are worried about not getting any muscle ups, but still actually do want to do RX, the lady, Camilla Granizzo, she got to the rings she attempted her first ring muscle up at 11:20. So I'll give you some context of what she was pretty decently fit. She was moving along at a nice pace. So she had basically just under 3 minutes when she attempted her first muscle up, to give some of you an idea of whereabouts you'll be on the clock when you get to that bit, if you're worried about the muscle up being your defining factor of that workout. Right, shall we move on to the elites then? Just look at their ridiculous times and paces. So moving on to elites, we obviously had Lazar Dukic, BKG, Laura Horvath, and Gabby Magawa. For those who watched, Lazar Dukic took the win. He got, I believe, 287 reps, was it?
Yeah.
So that was 60 cows and 27 toes to bar into the second round. And that is 10 reps more than Rich Froning from back in the day. So a slight improvement on the best worldwide score. Again, Lazar probably won't even get the best worldwide score. There'll be probably quite a few people who even smash that, which would be interesting to see.
I don't know. I'm just, give me 2 seconds. I'm just getting...
What, do you think we've just seen the fastest score in the world?
I don't think we've seen the fastest score in the world, but I think the context should be... so 20.5, which was the choose your own adventure style of wall, ring muscle up, and row. Lazar won that worldwide in 9:54. So he is elite, like top tier elite at those movements. Admittedly, it's February, it's the off season. The Open was very different in 2020. It meant different things then. So it meant that as an elite athlete, you'd structure your season a bit differently. You wouldn't care as much about the Open, so you wouldn't be as fit as you needed to be. So he's probably not at the peak that he was at then. But I still think that's a very, very good score.
It's an amazing score. Don't get me wrong. But I still think there'll be a handful of people that beat that.
100%. And I think only having half an hour to plan it, and even exactly like he came out in the interview after and he said, I'd probably pace it a little bit differently. And I think he went too fast. He went a little bit too aggressively in the first couple. I think, jumping out and doing a big set of 25 toes to bar is probably not recommended for even the elites. I'd hazard a guess to say, if I was sitting there chatting to somebody who wanted to get a top 100 score worldwide, I would not be expecting them to do a set 25 unbroken at the start.
And that's put that into context as well. That's after coming off the rower, and he finished 60 cows in 2 minutes 10, which is basically 29-ish cows a minute pace on a rower. So for those who don't know, go on the rower, row for a minute and try to get 28 and realise he's held that for 2 minutes, and then he's jumped off and gone and done 50 toes to bar in, he technically did 50 toes to bar under that. He did 50 toes to bar in about 1 minute and 45 seconds, which again is ridiculous. That's about, 27-ish reps. So he held almost basically about 27 to 28 rep pace for the first 4 minutes of the workout, which in any movement, that is extremely high.
And for context, that 29 cows a minute is 1,740 cows per hour.
There you go. That is
so
fast.
That's the number you see on that rower. That is...
Yeah.
For those...
Yeah, I think cow... it's definitely in the 1, 3, 4s, I think, if you do that per 500. about that. I believe
Yeah.
I think a 1/600 is around 135. I think so. It's close to that.
Mad, absolutely mad.
That's fast. Right. So then going on from that, we obviously had Laura. Laura finished her toes bars in 4:35, which is still ridiculously fast, especially considering she did the exact same cows as the men. Yeah, that's very, very impressive. And then on from
which
that,
beat Sam Briggs's score from 14.4, the original. And obviously, back in those days, Sam Briggs was known as an absolute machine on the rower. She was a great ring muscle upper as well. So, yeah, I think Laura said that she'd set that as her expectation, was to beat Briggs's score and get the worldwide leading score, and that's exactly what she did.
Yeah, she beat it by, what's that, 10 reps, I believe it was? Yeah, 10 reps. So she got 4 extra cows on the rower and then 6 more toes to bar. But yeah, so that was pretty impressive as well. Anything else from that workout? Well, we had, to put in perspective, Lazar Dukic finished the cleans in 7:10. So when you compare that to the fastest guy in the like quote unquote amateur heat, he finished his cleans in 9:39. So the guy in that first heat was over basically 2 minutes 30 behind Lazar Dukic to get to the muscle ups.
Yeah, and it took Lazar 2:30 on his ring muscle ups alone, which I think at that level, you'd probably expect him to knock out 20 ring muscle ups sub 2 minutes, maybe like sub 1:30. Potentially.
Well, what do you mean in that exact scenario? Do you mean like just actually fresh? Like if you're going for like
just fresh, like he could do it unbroken. But
that's what I mean. Okay,
yeah, like fresh, he could do it unbroken.
Yeah.
So
I was worried you were saying he like expected to do it in about just under 2 minutes, like as a fresh state. It's like I don't know. I think it's a bit better than that. Saying that, did you see what's his name? It's actually blank now.
BKG?
The ring muscle up video. Did you see that on YouTube the other day?
No.
He's on the Savon podcast a few times.
Taylor
Self-made Taylor Self. He did the 100 ring muscle up workout that Froning did like last year, and he beat Froning's time. I can't exactly remember the time. It was something like 13 minutes or something, or maybe a bit under that. Yeah, quite impressive.
That's insane.
Yeah.
No thanks. I don't think I ever want to do that. Can I do 100 ring muscle ups over the course of like 2 weeks? Like, but I think the thing to highlight there is that he opened with a big set. He ended with set 3. BKG got a couple of no reps in there as well from not locking out. So something that we've seen shift in the judging is that what you used to get would be people locking out but not staying at that lockout position. And so not necessarily getting the rep, but pushing out and pushing away from the ring.
Thank you for demonstrating that on camera, and could not even see your arms anyway, but thank you. For those who are just listening, Ben has just stood further from his desk, shoved his arms dead straight, and just demonstrated a lockout of a muscle up.
I will, because I may as well demonstrate it now, because I will not be able to do it tomorrow when I'm attempting this workout. Because I will be flashing my elbows and being like, "Yep, that's a rep in it," and going straight in as I carry on doing this with singles.
You're going to go for your strict muscle ups? Last time I was at BFG, you were just doing strict all the time, which I'm not going to lie, it's actually so impressive. Like when we did all those muscle up workouts we did, you just bang out strict. I was like, what?
My strict capacity. There was a point where my strict capacity was greater than my kipping capacity. Thankfully, I have reintroduced kipping recently, so things have got a little bit easier. But yeah, I'd prefer it if it was a strict ring muscle up workout. That would be so much more fun, if I'm being entirely honest. And would mean I'd probably get a slightly higher placing worldwide. But yeah, it's like being very humble if I can.
So what do we think would be a good score then for just our average CrossFitter trying this over the next few days?
I think that if you can get through the cleans, you're in a very good position. If you have the capacity to do a ring muscle up and you're able to, every single ring muscle up is going to be a huge separator on that leaderboard. So it's almost, it's this really difficult position where I know we said at the start, you want to send it and get there as early as possible to make sure that you get a really good tie break. Yes, but
if that's your like goal of like not getting any muscle ups, I would say.
I don't know. I think the tiebreak will come into effect for a lot of people on the ring muscle ups themselves.
Yeah, it'll be grouping. There's basically, maths is 20 groups. There's 1 muscle up, 2 muscle up, etc., etc. But each muscle up will be worth a lot on the leaderboard.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a big separation between someone just getting 1 and then someone getting 2, and so on and so forth. But I think it just depends on if you've got muscle ups in the tank and you can get a handful, then I would ideally pace it up until that point, so you're still in a good situation where you can still get a few muscle ups in, at least let's say 2 minutes left on the clock. If you're not going to get any muscle ups and you just want to maximize your place, I'll just basically your workout is up through those 30 cleans. If you want to bang off your buck both, get a good tiebreak score and get some muscle ups, I still believe you might want to pace it from the start, but once you get into that middle set of the cleans, then I'll start, maybe if you're starting to recover ish, try pick up the pace slowly. When I say pick up the pace, you might be able to go about 3 seconds faster per like every 2 reps or something, but just slowly build a rhythm. Get to the muscle ups, try not hang around too long and take unnecessary chalk breaks. Just chalk your hands once and then just kick up and try get even 1 or 2 and then just chip away at a steady pace.
For those who have their sights set a little bit higher, so obviously quarterfinals is the goal for, probably about 15% of the people doing the Open. That's the top 10%. Last time this came out, for the men, it was 5 ring muscle ups, got you into the 90th percentile. And for the women, it was, you still had 2 cleans left to go, got you into the 90th percentile. I think for the women, definitely, it'll be 3 or 4, maybe 5 ring muscle ups will be that 90th percentile. So that's going to be a huge factor for getting into those quarterfinal places. For the men, I'm thinking double digits is kind of where my head's at the moment. I don't know what you think.
I think 90th percentile. I think if you're getting 10 plus, you're in the 90th percentile, I believe.
Yeah.
For the men's side,
Go on.
Oh, sorry. What are you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that what I recommend is Beyond the Whiteboard release their projected percentiles on sort of Saturday morning-ish. So if you know you're going to repeat, if you know you're on that bubble quarterfinals, have a look at that. That'll give you a good indicator of what you're doing and how you can, and where you sort of need to be aiming as well.
Lovely stuff.
My final tip is video your workout and sit down and analyze it and say, right, okay, how did I break this up? I had this plan going in. Was this plan achievable? Did I execute that plan? Or was my plan too ambitious? Was my plan too cautious? Invariably, plans always end up being more ambitious than they probably should be. And if you can sit down, analyze it, understand it a little bit more, then it means that you can put a pacing strategy together for your second attempt. That will put you in a really strong position to make sure that you're where you want to be on the leaderboard.
Yep, I agree. Videoing is really helpful, not just for the times it took on each part, but you just see how you move, how your body language is, just all the necessary breaks you take between reps. Honestly, it helps so much. It's just the easiest way to improve without getting any fitter. You can usually it depends on the workout, obviously, But I know myself, I've taken off minutes of times before from literally just watching the video and then just redoing it, and then just mentally having a note exactly of what like check marks you need to get through against the clock. Depends what it is, but that is a very useful way of tackling your workouts. But yeah, again, it depends. If you're redoing it, I'll really recommend that. I mean, if you're not redoing it, still always good to video and always analyze what you've done. But there will be still a lot of people who just do it one and done as well. So maybe they'll just go in, give it a go, not too fussed where they get, and just move on with their day. Right.
Move on that day after a lot of pain is what I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Do you want to wrap up there? We're going to do 23.2 prediction, or we set it for another time?
I think we save it for another time. I think what's going to be interesting is that, just some closing thoughts from myself. Last year we saw that there were themes within the open workouts. So we saw bounding every week. So we had box jump overs in the first week, we had bar facing burpees in the second week, and then we had double unders in the third week. So there was some type of jumping and moving every week. What I'm excited to see is if those types of themes carry on this year, and we see that theme be present within the 3 or 4 workouts that we're going to get. And on top of
what
that,
would your theme be based off this workout? What would your proposed theme be?
I think we might be at a point where you have clear separation within workouts. So it's not just a case of pure capacity. It's a case of, right, there's this very difficult movement we're going to put into the open. And now it's a case of, right, who can do as many of this movement as possible? And so there's less bottlenecking at the top, for want of a better phrase. And it's less just moving through a workout. Now you're being limited by something else other than your aerobic capacity.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point, because obviously the predictions everyone's been guessing in the community just based for the last 2 years are the open's basically gone soft now, very simple movements, keep it really accessible for everyone, which, I mean, that's what we're thinking as well. So to see this workout come out is why I was like just mind blown. And yeah, it's an interesting point, because next week, I don't know, could have again something high skill, which will separate people just based off if you've got the skill or not, rather than what you're saying, having just work capacity. So that's an interesting idea. Considering we were thinking it would just be very simple and everyone just be able to do everything. So if that's the way it's classic CrossFit, isn't it? Everyone, I mean, they do live up to their name, unknown and unknowable. Everyone thinks they've got it sussed out, and then 20 ring muscle ups in week 1. That is, that's the way it is.
Spicy to say the least.
Yeah. Cool. Right. I think we'll leave it there. This one's way more off the cuff than our first one. We've literally just jumped on as soon as the workout ended, pretty much, and just rattled off some ideas that came straight to our heads. So it might not be as polished as other episodes. We're going to try to get it out there as soon as possible. So that's it really. And then I don't know if we're going to do. I don't know if we'll do a recap of this on maybe Monday when the scores are in, or maybe we'll just wait till the next announcement and then just do a brief recap and then just react to 23.2. We'll decide in the next few days and surprise you.
Let us know what you want us to be discussing in the comments. Let's generate that traction. Let's get things moving.
At the Dysfunctional Fitness Podcast on the Insta. Feel free to slide in the DMs, just with CrossFit stuff though, nothing else.
I don't really know what's going with that. And good luck to all of you tackling the open. If you're not tackling the open, good luck with your training over the next weekend. And I hope you get to watch people enjoy this absolute sufferfest. We'll see you on the other side.
Goodbye. All right. Stop that.